What's up, Light Bearers? Welcome to Light Tap, a Vivid Set podcast. My name is Melissa.
And I'm Emily.
And today we're talking about
Compassion.
So, Emily,
yes.
Why did you want to talk about compassion?
You know what? There's a lot of things going on around in the world.
Yeah.
And it's really hard for people to not be wrapped up in their own problems. In their own lives, to even consider that other people are going through stuff. Yeah, especially nowadays where we're so preoccupied about ourselves that we forget about everyone else.
Yeah, I feel like vivimos como en un mundo donde it's just like about me.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I'm going through this, you know, whatever, and then se nos olvida como también other people are going through stuff too, different from ours.
Yes.
But still going through it.
Mm-hmm.
So, today's Bible verse is going to be Lamentations, chapter 3, verses 22 and 23. I'll read it in Spanish, and Emily will read it in English.
Okay. It says, Lamentations 3:22-23. It is because of the Lord's loving kindness that we are not consumed, because his tender compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great and beyond measure is your faithfulness.
Y en español, Lamentaciones 3:22-23 dice: Sé que no hemos sido destruidos, porque Dios nos tiene compasión. Sé que cada mañana se renuevan su gran amor y su fidelidad. So, on this one, I did a little bit more digging because I wanted to talk about compassion and I want to make sure that we're talking about it in the right way, especially with this verse. Mm-hmm. So obviously the meaning of compassion, si no sabes, it means to be sympathetic and concerned for the suffering or misfortunes of others. Mm-hmm. So concern, you know, you can como tú lo puedes explicar? How would you explain compassion to somebody?
Compassion towards other people, for me, it's like if somebody, okay, so to give an example, right? And I think this example can be so relatable because nowadays people want to be heard, they don't actually listen.
Okay.
So for an example, if let's say you come to me because you're like, I'm going through this, I want to be heard, and you're telling me what you're going through. And this whole time, I'm listening, but I'm not listening correctly. I'm listening, and I already have a response for you. Well, I went through this, and this is how I handled it. Sometimes, instead of actually wanting to apply it to ourselves and actually oh, well, this is how I can help you. How about instead you actually take the time to process the information that you're given and just be there. I think that whenever people are going through things, they don't just want to be heard. They want to feel understood. And sometimes we try to make it about ourselves. And I feel like whenever people do that, they're not being truly sympathetic towards their situation.
Yeah.
Because when you really are sympathetic and compassionate towards that person, you think about them first.
Yeah. Y esa es la parte donde I was okay, to me, I mean, honestly, yes, I hear the word compassion, and maybe I have it inside. I just never knew what it was, or maybe I didn't have it, and that's why I didn't know what it was. Pero aquí dice the concern for suffering or misfortunes of others, and to me that word concern is key. Porque no es como que nada más escuchaste la información, and it was just okay, I was just your ear, but it was it concerned me that you're going through this, and so that concern makes me take an action.
Or
Si me entiendes, es como que because I am I have compassion, I'm gonna take an action, whether it's to be there for you, whether it's to check up on you for the following week, whether it is to give you resources, hey, you know, quizás yo no tengo all the means and all the resources to give you, pero I found this website that has a lot of information. How about we look at it together? How about I make that phone call for you? So that word concern for me is como que it makes me take an action, because if it's just listening, then it's just eso queda estancado, it's just there. But it's like when you do something, it's como que that extra step, and I think that compassion, that's what it is. It's like you understand what the person is going through, but it makes you take in that extra step, or makes you do that extra step to kind of help them out.
Yeah, I think compassion, I think everybody can be there for their people, but I think compassion is that extra oomph that people add whenever they're, I want to say, towards loved ones, sometimes friends, and sometimes you can even have compassion towards total strangers.
Yeah.
But I think it takes a special person to be able to show true, real compassion without having ulterior motives. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Es como que like tú miras a una persona that doesn't have a home, like a homeless person, right? And you feel compassionate for them, so you extend your help, in alguna manera, ya sea que you give them a blanket because it's cold, you give them food, you give them clothes, you give them money, you give them, or like, sabes que, like, let me give you a ride to the nearest shelter, something. So it's that, like, again, that action that makes you do something for them. All right, so this is what I use. I use a commentary when I'm studying the Bible, and I kind of like want to get a better understanding as to like what happened, and what is the Bible talking about this. I go into like commentary, and so this commentary thing. So Lamentations, this part of Lamentations, Jeremiah was the one who was writing, and so if we go back to where it says, "Through the Lord's mercies we're not consumed." It says here that this was one of the things that Jeremiah remembered. He remembered that as beat down and defeated the people of Jerusalem and Judah were, they were not yet completely consumed. They were still a remnant with a promise of restoration. Wherever God leaves life, he leaves hope. Okay? And then the compassion part, because his compassions fail not. It says, even in the severity of correction God's people endured, there was evidence of his compassion. There was rich comfort in realizing that the tender affection of God was not completely spent. These compassions were new every morning. And so sometimes I think that when we make mistakes, just in general, because we're human, we make mistakes, like... aquí puedo durar all day long and all this podcast talking about all the mistakes that I have made and that I'm still making, right? But he says that his compassions are new every day. He says that his compassions didn't fail me yet. And so because of that compassion, I think it's like he understands that I am human and I am dumb and make dumb mistakes. But la misma is that action that he does where he's like remembering, like, okay, well, this is why I sent my son Jesus to die on the cross for you guys. And because of that, I am gonna make sure that you are not completely consumed. Yes, there might be consequences for your actions. Yeah. Which a lot of Christian people forget this. You think you can go out and act the fool and wild out and like, oh, nada más porque
like, I'm Christian. I'm not gonna be touched. I'm good.
You know?
I got Jesus.
No.
Be like, you still gotta take responsibility for your actions.
There's still gonna be consequences of your actions. Yes. But even in those consequences, even cuando you're like going through it and you feel like, oh my God, en qué lío me metí for being dumb and like following this path, even then, God still has compassion for you. Exactly. Even then, you are not consumed. Even then, that's not your end. There's still a remnant of his hope. There's still a remnant of his love. There's still a remnant of his like forgiveness for you. And then his compassions are new every morning. So pudiste haber pecado from sun up to sun down, and the next day his compassion renews
every day.
Reset. Y nos vamos.
That's the beautiful thing, you know, like, even though we may do our crazy things because we're human, we're known to flaw, every new day is a new opportunity to do better.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. And obviously in this podcast, we're only talking about the compassion that God has for us. We could talk about the compassion that God has for other people. Yeah. Because does that one renew every morning? Yeah. it's like we expect
Yeah.
and we receive and we accept God's compassions every single day. And we expect for the next morning to have that compassion too. As soon as we wake up, we're like, okay, we made it through the night. Thank you, Jesus. You know?
Yeah.
Pero nosotros.
Nosotros otras personas, like for us to have that compassion, that same compassion that God has for us to show to other people, it's like we hold on to grudges, to anger so bad that it's so hard for us to show that towards other people. And you know, it's crazy because we, the Bible says it itself that we are supposed to be a mirror of God's image shown to other people. When people look at us, we're supposed to be reflecting God's love and his mercy, compassion, all of that above. So, you know, if God, he's asking for the bare minimum from us. You know, if he is able to go above and beyond for people that weren't even born yet. We weren't even born during his time, and he still went above and beyond for the endless love that he had for us, and he still hadn't even seen us. He knew about us. He met us in spirits because he knows every single one of us. But even then, for him to show that endless love and compassion towards us, you know, he's only asking us to show a fragment of that to other people.
I don't think a fragment. I think he wants us to show it all.
Show it all.
Porque dice the word that either you're cold or you're hot. You're not in between. So it's not a fragment. He's like, I want you to be hot.
Yes, show it all, but he knows that we're human.
He knows that we're human.
He knows that we can't show as much as he can, which is why his mercy and his compassion renews every day, because he's like, try again. It's okay. Do it again. You can try again. Yeah.
Yes. But what I'm saying is like, yeah, it's not a fragment. He doesn't expect. That's not the expectation that he has set for us. Mm-hmm. The expectation was, I want you to go all in.
Yeah.
I want you to be hot. Okay? No, like, un poquito, pero no. I want you to be hot. I want you to know it. So his expectations are that. And I don't know, I just think it's so like amazing because again, there has been moments where I am like, you know what, I really messed up. And there's things like que son, if I take myself out of like what I'm going through, I'm like, eso es una tontera. Like, that's nothing, right?
Yeah.
I didn't commit murder. Mm-hmm. I didn't commit like this, like...
It could be small, little, petty things.
Exactamente.
Yeah.
In my eyes, as I'm going through it, I am like, I am kicked out of the kingdom forever. I am no longer a daughter. And then I just... like, I'm just, you know, going through it. And then to know and to understand that, man, he sees me.
And I think that's one of the big things that, like, as Christians, we are so hard on ourselves that we're like, I made this one little mistake. This is it. I'm not Christian no more. God doesn't love me. But if God himself is willing to have this endless compassion for you, who are we to judge ourselves like that?
Yeah.
You know, like if God can show us that compassion, we need to be able to show that compassion towards ourselves as well.
We have to accept it.
Yes.
Porque una cosa es saber que está ahí, but do we really accept it?
Yeah. And that's a hard thing for us to do because we're like, I should be the perfect Christian. I should be following this. I know better. And when we fail, we're so hard on ourselves. Yeah. It's almost hard to be like, yes, I am forgiven. Yes, I know, like, I'll have another day to try again. But we just get so sucked in that feeling of, like, unworthiness that we are not willing to accept that compassion for ourselves. Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, so we're going to go into this segment of our podcast where we go into our Reddit story, and it says, and it has for... It is from the Am I the Asshole category. So I already read it. Emily, I want you to read it. I just kind of like skimmed through it. So I didn't read it in detail, but I kind of know what it's about. But let's find out.
Let's find out.
Vamos a ver qué está pasando aquí.
Okay. It says, am I the asshole for having zero compassion for my deceased mother-in-law's friends?
For what?
For my deceased mother-in-law.
For having zero compassion.
For her deceased mother-in-law's friends. So her mother-in-law just died and...
No, her friends.
No, her deceased mother-in-law's mother-in-law. Her mother-in-law is deceased, and her friends are the ones that are there.
Sí. Uh-huh. Oh, what? Yes. It's her mother-in-law. She passed away.
Okay, so it says, "Am I the asshole? My mother-in-law passed away in April. She was a nice woman, but we were not friends."
Oh. That explains a lot. Okay.
It says, "That's a whole separate. Am I the asshole?" Obviously, there's some issues there.
There's some drama there. Okay,
Okay, it says her only friends were her cats and her Facebook cat friends, with the exception of one lady who she met many years ago through her husband, who passed away 20 plus years ago.
Okay.
My husband and I have 3 children. The oldest died in a car accident at the age of 16.
Damn.
6 years ago, not his fault. Since the passing of our son, his mother began to pawn her grief off on my husband, and they didn't have a relationship for about 2 years. Sometime about 3 years ago, my mother-in-law decided to let her only friend and her husband move in with her. They don't have jobs, credit, cars, driver's licenses, or an education. I really have zero compassion for these people. They've basically done nothing for their 60 plus years of life to put them in a better situation than they are. Now that my mother-in-law is gone, my husband, an only child, owns the house. We need these people gone so we can sell it. We have been paying all the bills and encouraging them over the 4 months that they need to find a new home. This week, we decided to no longer pay the cable and internet bill of $225 a month.
That is expensive.
That's expensive. For sure, that's expensive. She called desperately, begging us to please turn the TV stations back on because that's all we have, which would require a $250 startup deposit, and we aren't paying this bill anymore. I called her back and told her that her main focus needs to be finding a new home. I take great pleasure in knowing that I have taken their only enjoyment away. They need to find new friends and a new home. Am I the asshole? What do you think?
Ooh.
So it says, so what do you think?
I don't know. I think that es que Okay.
No, listen. Wait.
Can we talk about this?
Okay, so under the title, there's always I guess there's what people call
the results.
The results.
But
so
you can vote on these.
Yes.
Am I the asshole category? Reddit. It's not just a story. Like, you can actually vote, and you can help the poster, like the OP, know if they suck or if they suck or if they don't.
And most of the time, it either turns out to be like, oh, you're the asshole, or like not the asshole. But there's also a third option where it's like everyone sucks.
Yeah.
So in this one, the overall result was everyone sucks.
And I agree with that.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so my thing that I want
to...
Okay, before I even give my opinion, I want to point out that it says that, these are not young people. Mm-hmm. It says, I have zero compassion for these people. They basically done nothing in their 60 years of life plus.
Senior citizens.
They're senior citizens, and they don't have jobs. They don't have credit cards, driver licenses, or an education. So I normally, I'm like, okay, something happened. This is like a whole different generation, right? This is back in the days. So I know that their situation, whatever they went through, that put them where they are in their life now, is not a situation that we would have gone through, right? At least that's how I see it, because we're like, okay, who knows what they went through, right?
Because I'm like,
that's my thing.
I know senior citizens now that are like, they did something for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, okay, 60 plus years. That's, to me,
Tuviste more than enough time, but
I'm like, that's a whole lifetime. I'm sorry. Throughout that whole lifetime, are you telling me you've never had a chance to get a driver's license or a substantial education? But even without an education, you can still get a job.
Yes. Y en eso, okay. So, I think everyone sucks.
Okay,
you think what?
I don't think she's the asshole. I don't think so.
So you think the friends are the assholes?
Yes.
Los señores?
Yes.
Okay. I think everyone sucks in this situation, including the mother-in-law. I'm sorry, ma'am. Rest in peace. But I think you suck too, and this is why.
Okay.
I think that, one, because of that detail that they don't have jobs, they don't have credit, they don't have driver's license, they don't have an education. Me da la implication.
So she was enabling them.
No.
No?
That they were not from here.
Oh, do you think so?
Not have credit, that means that you don't have a social. Or, es que se me hace like super raro. Like, if you are a U.S. citizen or a resident that has some, like a social security, whatever, then you would have some type of credit at this point if you've lived for 60 plus years.
But that, just because she says that they don't have credit, it doesn't necessarily
They don't have a
mean...
driver's license.
But it
So
could
you
be...
don't have no type of ID? An ID. And then education. I mean, hay mucha gente que no hace education aquí or back in the day. That's great. But es que all of these things combined se me hace como que like
they're not legal.
Yes.
And this is just like a thought, right? This is just what we're assuming.
No, it doesn't say. Pero
It doesn't say.
That's what it implies, okay? So in that case, I don't know, like I have compassion for them. But I think, this is why I think everyone sucks. We're gonna start with the mother-in-law.
Okay.
She freaking sucks because for some reason her and her daughter-in-law are not friends, which was, she said that that's a whole different thing. So there was beef there. That means that who knows, maybe the daughter-in-law has been a jerk to her mother-in-law, so she separated from her. But at the same time, it says the mother-in-law went through some stuff when her husband passed away, and because of that, she didn't have a relationship with her own son, her only son, because he was the only child. So in the same way, I feel like maybe she was bitter, maybe she was, something was going on, and the mother-in-law wasn't the best person also. Okay, so I think that she sucks because she did not create or try to bond that relationship with them, and so she has some guilt in that because she did something. Like, for now, 2 people not to be her friends, she only has one friend, which is this person,
and her husband,
and then her Facebook cat friends, which on social media, even though you follow each other, you're not truly friends unless like you're like bonding on a regular basis, or you see each other, or whatever the case may be. And so this was her only friend. So para mí, it's like, you must have not been a great person if you only have one friend, right? So the mother-in-law, you suck. And not only that, like, okay, you decided to have your friend live there, okay, that's great. But if all of y'all are senior citizen, I'm sorry, but you kind of know that you're about to, like, your time is running out. Like, why didn't you leave a plan for people?
So,
Then, espérame, I think the daughter-in-law is a jerk because, again, for her to say that, one, she has zero compassion for them, they're also grieving. They don't have all of these things that are lined up, like how maybe you have had the opportunity to have them all set for you. You, like, just because, let's say that us, right, just because you had the opportunity to go to college and like set up for life, you don't know my story. You don't know the struggle that I had to go through. And maybe I didn't have, even though I had the same amount of years as you, but maybe I didn't have all the opportunities to set myself up for success. But you've had, and you had it easy. And so I'm here, de pura misericordia de Dios. So I think that she sucks because she has zero compassion. We have some compassion for these people. And then the fact that it says that I take great pleasure in knowing that I have taken their only enjoyment away. Like, qué barbaridad. Like, that really just, like, dang. Which,
the cherry on top.
It's just been there, done that, okay? Yo también. But I'm just saying, like, okay, she sucks because of this, right? But at the same time, I feel like the friends suck too. Because, I'm sorry, you might be grieving, you might be going through stuff, but just because your friend let you stay there, that is not your house anymore. The only person that was there, and because you were there, they're no longer there. Now it's their sons. It is up to them. And they gave you 4 months to find a home. Te dieron más que suficiente tiempo. In esos 4 months, you have not paid rent. Y a saber cuánto tiempo before.
Exactly.
So to me, it's like, you cannot also you can't be taking advantage of other people because it is not their responsibility to be taking care of you.
Yeah, exactly.
If your friend decided to take care of you, that was your friend. She's gone now. You're not that other person's responsibility to continue to do that. That's what everybody says.
So to me, the way that I read this, where it says, I really have zero compassion for these people. They basically done nothing in their 60 plus years of life to put them in a better situation that they are. To me, I read that as they had opportunities. 60 plus years, they had, they done nothing to put them in a better situation. So the way that I read that is like they had a chance. They had opportunities to put them in a better situation. I don't know if she knew them personally or she had known them as like, oh, these are her friends. This is who they are. This is what they do or what they used to do. The way that I see it, I'm like, I do think that they had papers. I don't think that they were illegal. I think that they had opportunities. I think the mother-in-law was an enabler. God rest her soul. But I think that she was an enabler and she was like, oh, it's okay. I'll take care of y'all. Y'all are my only friends. And if I can have friends and keep them in arm's reach, I will. She didn't have nobody else around her. She didn't even have a good relationship with her daughter-in-law or her son. Her only son for a little bit more than 2 years, you know? And she still had grandchildren on top of that. So to me, I'm just like, okay, she had like these two people that were close to her. She was like, I'm gonna keep you close. These are not young children. These are not teenagers or young adults. These are senior citizens that they were like, okay, we have a lady. And I'm sorry, just by her being an enabler, I can assume she cooked, she cleaned, she did their laundry. She basically took care of both of them. And the way that I see it is like, okay, she was an asshole for enabling them. She never pushed them to actually do something for themselves. So be like, she never gave them an incentive like, hey, I'm gonna need you to pay this bill. No, she was like, you can stay here for as long as you want. It's okay. And she paid all the bills, the rent and everything. And I think that was more than generous. Now that she has passed away, her daughter-in-law and her son, they're now the owners of that house. They have no responsibility to take care after these seniors. No. They're not family. Yeah. They're not even friends with them. They were the mother-in-law's friends. And I think, I'm sorry, you're your own adult. There are jobs that you can do even if you don't have a security.
As senior though?
As a senior, there are jobs. There are. Are they like jobs that you would prefer? Probably not, but there are jobs. I have compassion knowing that like, okay, they're a little bit older. They're not young. They're not super duper old. I'm assuming that they're obviously 60 and above, right? We don't know if they have Social Security benefits or anything like that. Who knows? And who knows their physical standpoint? But
I wonder who's paying for the food and stuff. If they don't have jobs and if they've been there for 4 months, who has been paying for them and then for their food?
Imagine the couple, they've been paying for everything for 4 months. Yeah. The bills, the rent, everything. So even if they didn't have money wise, they had clean water, they had heat, they had electricity, all these things that were making them comfortable without ever paying for it. Was it like their responsibility to do that? No, it wasn't. During those 4 months, they could have been like, oh shoot, we are going to be kicked out. Let's do something. Let's go out. Let's find our family members. Let's do something. Let's get a second job. Let's work on getting an apartment. You had more than ample enough time to set yourself up for your future, you know. And I think they were more than gracious. I don't think she was like nice to be like, okay, like, yes, they're viejitos,
like,
but
I think that like
my viejitos, they worked. My aunt and my uncle,
but that's you though.
They work and they're older than 60.
But that's not everybody else. That's your aunt and uncle. That's not everybody else. What if they have like serious disability issues?
And they probably do. But the thing is, to me, I'm like 60 plus years. During those 60 plus years, they're saying that they never had a job. they never had a chance to like go
No,
out
but
there and
they
do something
said
for
they don't
themselves.
ever. It says they don't have currently.
It says they basically done nothing for their 60 plus years
Okay,
of
pero
life.
eso no importa. Puede haber tenido un job and it just didn't have retirement benefits.
Maybe. I do think that she was messed up for being like she found joy in bringing them misery and taking away like their one thing that gave them pleasure. But I don't think that it was right that they were like, please turn the TV stations back on. Like that's the only thing. That's the only thing we have. That is not the only thing you have. You have heat. You have electricity. You have water. Like no. I think that's entitlement right there.
Yeah, no, it was because have you saw Jane the Virgin, right?
Yeah.
There was like at the beginning cuando Rafael divorces or is trying to divorce Petra, and she's like, well, I'm not leaving the premises, and so he starts taking away her AC and her water. I'm like, if she really wanted to be a jerk, like a really like asshole, she could have taken like their main like, you know, necessities away.
Yeah.
But she didn't. She just took like her enjoyment, which whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still thinking that everybody sucks. I think that they're all in the wrong, los viejitos included. But it's just, I don't know, me da cosa, but at the same time it's like 4 months. Ya tuvieron, señores.
I mean, like
4 months.
The way that I see it, I'm like, okay, they were nice enough to pay for those 4 months. They didn't have to. It's not their responsibility.
Exactly. Yo también, I 100% agree. And I'm like, in 4 months, like you said, okay, maybe you're not at the age where you could find a job, but you could find another family member or another friend that you have, and you've been like, you know what? My friend passed away. I have nowhere to go. I have no job. Like, pero like, let me stay with you and let me cook and let me clean or let me do something. ¿Sí me entiendes? Porque
they could have come to an agreement with the couple. Be like, okay, I'm sorry. Like, I know that we've never really, taken that extra step with your mother-in-law, but let's take that extra step with you. Can we come up with an agreement? Let us stay here. Let us rent the house. Let us try to do something where we can stay and, okay, we promise to pay you this much, or we promise to help you with this, or like, can we do like little services here and there? Let us help with something to return the favor of you paying everything. They may not be able to help with monetary issues, but they can help with other things around the house. They can even become like landlords for like the house whenever they rent it out. If they need maintenance issues, anything, if they have experience with that.
But if they don't have jobs, then
I don't know.
Everyone sucks.
We're over here trying to come up with solutions for them.
Everyone sucks. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna read a couple of comments. The first one that I see here, and it had 10,000 upvotes.
Like, it was top comment.
I think this is everyone sucks here, right?
Yes.
Okay, everyone sucks here. I think you were fine until you said, "I take great pleasure in knowing that I have taken their only enjoyment away." That seems really petty and icky, honestly. And I agree. Like, esa parte como que gave me an insight into her heart a little bit.
Into her mindset, yeah.
And I'm just like, ooh, you have a little bit of asshole in you. It says OP definitely needs to get a lawyer and start the eviction process. Porque if some people are in your house and they don't want to leave and they've been there for a long time, then you have to go through the whole eviction process, which can take some time. And they can continue to live there for about, I want to say 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
Más. These people are not going to leave voluntarily. We saw that.
Yes.
They're taking their only enjoyment, and they were like, hello, please turn on the TV stations.
Yeah.
And not because they're malicious or calculating. Thank you. I agree that too, because son viejitos.
I don't think they did it over maliciously. I don't think so.
They have no life skills and no knowledge of how to find a new place to live. In addition to getting a lawyer, OP should investigate community resources that might help the mother-in-law's friends.
Yeah.
Not her job, and she shouldn't have to do that. But if her goal is to get them out of the house, she should do anything she can to help them find somewhere else to go.
And I think that's the thing. Like, she also could have taken it on a different
And then
approach. Like, she could have been like, okay, well, you know, if they're not willing to move out voluntarily, I don't have to, but if I really want them out, let me take that extra step and try to give them an incentive, try to find a way that seems a little bit more enticing for them to leave.
Not only enticing, if we're gonna go back to like the whole main thing of this podcast is the word compassion, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like, I mean, if I am in my right mind and I have it all set up and I have done XYZ to like get myself where I'm at, and I see somebody in need, which these people at the end of the day, they are in need. They were living off of somebody. They don't have anything right now. And I mean, maybe yes, okay, so okay, like no, like at the end of the day, yes, I can have compassion, but you're not gonna take advantage of me either, because I still have kids, I still have a family, and that is my priority.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I feel like you can be compassionate enough and be moved enough to be like, I understand your situation, I understand that you don't have an education, I understand that you are late in the game as like, you know, you're in your golden age. I understand all of these, and because of that, I'm sorry, you can no longer stay in my house, but here are some availability. I can, you know, if, who knows, like I could probably make those calls for you, or I can have somebody help you in that, or, you know, whatever the case may be. But have that compassion and still help them out, not just say, hey, I want you gone in 4 months and you need to like pack up and leave.
So I wanna talk about something that I went through when I was younger. Not a lot of people know this, but when I was younger, my mom, she's, God bless her soul, she's one of a kind. When we were younger, my mom, she even to this day, she is very she's such a giving person. She always puts other people before her own person. And there was this one person, I remember, she was an adult, she was an older lady, not super old, but she was still kind of young, and she had a child with her. The lady was new to the US. She didn't know English, she didn't know what to do, she didn't know how to get a job or anything. My mom met her, and she was like, hey, I can help you. Move in with us. And that's a big thing, you know. She has a whole family. She has a husband. She was like, hey, I'm bringing someone in. What do you think? To my father. And he was just like, okay, that's not my responsibility. But if you want to take this person in, I'll support you, you know. And she talked to me and my brother. She was like, hey, this person's going to be here. Da, 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 da. And she brought this person in, and she was like, while you're with me, we're going to help you with your kid, but I also want you to work with me. I'm going to give you some work. I want you to try to get you on your feet.
Yeah.
And this person was not family to us, a complete stranger. And she was like, okay, I understand you don't have any family here. Mm-hmm. You don't have friends. You're trying to find out how to start your life here in the United States. My mom gave her all the tools to start anew in this country, get a job, get some money, get some help, to the point that she was able to support herself. This lady lived with us almost a little bit more than a year, and till this day, that lady calls us almost every Thanksgiving and Christmas, and she's like, thank you so much, because without you, I don't know where I would be.
Okay, so she didn't
life,
take that opportunity and like...
She took that opportunity. Mm-hmm. She saved her money because she didn't pay us rent or anything like that. And my mom even told her, like, hey, like, I want you to build for your future. Don't worry about us. I'm doing this out of the kindness of my heart.
Yeah.
And she didn't have to do that, you know. She didn't even know this person. She met this person once. She was like, okay, I feel it in my heart to help you. And this person took that opportunity and made something of herself. You know, she actually went above and beyond. And my mom has such compassion for her that even when she was sick, she was like, you go work for me, and I'm gonna stay here with your kid, and I'm gonna help you along. And but
again, it was like your mom, you know, maybe she couldn't give her like money, like, hey, let me give you 10 grand, let me give you 20 grand, like, here you go, I'm gonna give you this money, start off your bill. But like what she did have, she offered.
Exactly.
And it was, so that's the thing, right? She had compassion. She was moved to do this action. And in this case, I just feel like, yes, you gave them 4 months, but that was it. You know, there's, again, it's the age thing that que me tiene como like, los entiendo estos viejitos, because at an older age, come on, a lot of these older folks don't have a laptop. They were calling cable like TV stations. ¿Tú
That's how you know they're a little bit older.
¿Tú crees que ellos van a saber cómo, like, go on Google and find resources for them, find like different help for them? No.
I think
so
like,
for me it was just like you did not give them different options. You did not have that compassion to try to help them in some way. Yes, you helped them by letting them stay there for a couple of months with no rent, but help them, like, if you want them out of your house, like, still have that compassion, like, to be kind to people, but just like help them out.
I think that the mother-in-law, it doesn't say that like the actual son had any involvement in this whatsoever. It was more like we both want them out.
Yeah.
But obviously we don't know the point of view from the son. But what I can say is like you can tell like she was like not having it.
Yeah, she was over it.
Yeah, she was over it.
I don't care about you or your friends.
And I think, in my opinion, it doesn't say it, but I think she was blinded with her anger or like her upset with the mother-in-law, that she was like, y'all related to my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
Y'all were friends with my mother-in-law.
So
I don't got nothing to do with y'all. I'm gonna take y'all out of the equation and get you out of my life because you were not part of it. And I think that was not right. They're a separate person from the mother-in-law. And I think if she really had shown just a little bit more compassion, and she really wanted them out of the house, like that person said in that comment, they could have literally gone like that extra step, find them resources. The community has a lot of resources to help people. I don't know what state they are in. I don't know what the law is over there, but even here in Texas, we have help for senior citizens that can't work or don't have anywhere to go. You know, they could have at least tried to find a solution to their situation, you know, especially if you want them out of the house, the sooner the better, you know?
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, that was today's episode. Honestly, I feel like, again, we just have to, it's awesome to think about yourself. It's awesome to succeed in the best way that you can, but you have to have compassion for others, and the only way that you have compassion for others is by accepting God's compassion for you. Mm-hmm. So no matter where you have been, no matter what you have done, no matter if you feel like I only have 10 times to receive compassion today, just know that tomorrow, like, it's a reset. They're renewed every morning. And so it doesn't matter what yesterday happened. It doesn't matter what today happened. Just know that God still loves you. He still has that compassion. He still has that hope. Yes, there's going to be consequences. He's not a unfair God, or he's not a bad God.
He's not an unforgiving God.
Consequences because, you did that. Pero he still has that compassion for you. He still loves you the same way. He still forgives you the same way. And he still wants to restore you. So, receive God's compassion. And then
show it to others. Show it to others.
Have compassion for other people. And so that was today's episode. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.